Nike's EYBL Peach Jam has concluded. I'll go over some of the top prospects in one of the top high school events, and then I'm going to reveal my top 5 of 2025 coming up on Locked On NBA Big Board. What's up? My name is Richard Stayman. You might know me better as MavsDraft's. I do NBA draft scouting, NBA mock drafts, high school scouting as well. It's something I've gotten big into this year. So I'm going to talk about Peach Jam and then 5 names for 2025 to remember at the top of my board. Thank you very much for making Locked On NBA Big Board the first listen of your day. It really means a lot to us over here at Locked On NBA Big Board. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So Peach Jam just concluded this last weekend. For those of you who don't know what Peach Jam is, Nike EYBL, which is one of the top overall basketball circuits. There's 4 shoe circuits that do these tournaments, and they generally include the top prospects all across high school. Nike's the biggest one. They have the most just volume of high-level prospects. Adidas is probably the second, and then Under Armour and Puma are still growing. They have, every one of them has talent in their range. So this year, the Nike EYBL finals were with Cam Boozer versus AJ Dybantsa's teams. That's the Knight Riders Elite 17Us and the Oakland Soldiers 17Us. So there's basically just background on the EYBL. If you're not familiar, the 17Us are the class of 2025. Some players are playing up, like Tyran Stokes on Oakland. You have the 2026s will be the 16Us, 2027 class, or in there some 2028s in the 15Us. Now it changes every year. Obviously, you roll it back 1 year, and that's how the grouping works. This year, the Knight Riders won. They were the most stacked team. I think this was a pretty big given. Oakland was the only team that could give them a run for their money because they have basically in this game, it was 1A versus 1B. In high school rankings, that's how this is, where it's Cam Boozer, some people number 1, AJ is the other people's number 1, and they're really on the same level for a lot of people. I have them 1A, 1B. I have AJ as my number 1. He had a really good game. Even though he was 10 of 26, he still had 25 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks. He brought them back in this game to make it a close game. They lost by 9, but still liked what I saw from him, just overall being able to win through the most physical defense, getting out of bad spots. I really liked what I saw from AJ, and that's why him and Cam Boozer, who I'll talk about next, and also just actually quick little interruption. If you don't want to feel old, this episode might not be for you because there's a lot of NBA legacies in this, but Cam Boozer, AJ Dybantsa, and Cooper Flagg are considered. Last year, there was a second where they were all in the same class, and then AJ reclassified up from the class of 26 to 25. Cooper reclassified from 25 to 24 to graduate this year and be in the 2025 draft. So they were all in the same. Cameron Boozer and Cooper Flagg were playing the 16s. AJ was already playing in the 17s last year, playing up as a freshman. And then obviously he reclassified. So AJ Dybantsa, though, I mean, he is everything you want in a forward. He's 6'8", does everything on both ends. He can defend, he can pass, he can shoot off the dribble, create his own shot, all 3 levels. Does everything a modern forward do. He's the best high school prospect for me. Number 2 is very closely Cameron Boozer, who they played against, who had a magnificent game, creating in isolation, hitting jump shots, hitting at the rim, hitting mid-range, playmaking. He killed it. 19 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks, only 2 turnovers, and that was on 7 of 8 shooting. So he's getting to the line a lot. He's doing so much damage. He's the kind of guy who I think is best comparable to Paolo Banchero. Jump shot needs a little bit of work, but the indicators are there that he's going to be good. And obviously him and his his twin brother, Caden Boozer, are the sons of Carlos Boozer, who played in the NBA. And Caden, he's a pure point guard. I don't know how real the jump shot is because it's a little bit low release. It's a push shot that needs to be fixed, but all the indicators suggest, hey, they're shooting touch. He can hit floaters. He can hit some jump shots. Like the efficiency is not bad. It's just, will it translate over tougher length and tougher competition? That's the big question with him. Back on Oakland, you also have Tyran Stokes. He's the number 1 player for 2026 recruiting. He had a really good game too. 22 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 1 block on 8 of 19 shooting. It's not the most efficient. A lot of that was 2-point scoring. He showed jump shooting to be pretty good in this game, went 2 of 3 from 3. And overall in Peach Jam too, he actually, he shot well from the line. He shot well from 3, 6 of 15, 9 of 15 actually from 3. So he made more than he missed. And then also shot 81% from the free throw line on 48 attempts. So lots of like from Tyran Stokes on this, who showed out in the Team USA FIBA U17s. He's somebody that if the work ethic and if his head stays on straight, he's going to be a force. He's just so big. He's 6'8" and can do everything, especially if that jump shot comes. He's worth the hype. So a lot of talent in that one. Another player who had a really good Peach Jam that I like is Caleb Wilson. Caleb Wilson had 8 points in this game, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, but 6 blocks. And that was on 4 of 9 shooting. So not the most efficient game, not the best offensive game, but I really liked what I saw from him, man. He does so much in Peach Jam. He was looking really effective. In the game before, he went 14 of 18, and a lot of it was tough shots. He was hitting, not in this game, I've been to EYBL sessions already this year, but I would see him just hitting spin turnaround jumpers and setting it up and creating space. And at 17 years old, that's pretty ridiculous at 6'9". So I really like what I saw from him on both ends of the floor. The jump shot for him is the big question mark. And then also, does he know how to play basketball at a high level, as a consistently good decision maker? That's the question for Caleb Wilson, because right now he's a top 5 prospect, top 10 most places at the worst. And the ceiling is through the roof. When you're 6'9", athletic, can get to the rim, play defense, that alone is going to get you a lot of places. The jump shot has a bit of work to do. So for this year in EYBL, when he played with the Knight Riders, he went to Georgia Stars before, then he transferred over. 67% from the line, 21% from 3. So not great indicators, and you have to kind of tone it down. 75 is pretty good. You hit 80% from the field or from free throw, you're pretty good as well for indicators. But just for reference, Cam Boozer took 135 free throws, a very real sample size, and shot 84%. So that's why I'm confident in that shot coming around. Caden Boozer, like I said, he's the point guard. And the last one on here, actually, Alex Lloyd had a good game. I've seen him in person a lot. He's somebody that he's going to Florida. He can be a floor general. I really liked him on this team because he played with such high-end talent, whereas at school this year, he was playing with Alex Constanza. He's a top 10 talent, but they didn't have much else besides that. And I think it got to him when they played the highest level competition. And this one, he looked the part of a complimentary guard. The last one, speaking of complimentary guards, that always stands out every time I watch him is Dante Allen. That's Malik Allen's son, former Miami Heat player and NBA veteran. He is, I'm very high on him. I actually have him as a top 15 player in 2025 on my recruiting board. I love his game. He had 21 points in the finale, 8 of 13 shooting, 1 assist to 3 turnovers, 1 steal, and had 2 rebounds. But in Peach Jam overall, in the 8 games they played, and with Peach Jam, they do a winner's bracket and a loser's bracket. You have the group phase, so they played a lot. It's a week event. It's a huge high school event in North Augusta, South Carolina, the border of Georgia and South Carolina. Dante Allen just had a monster week, though. 4.5 assists, 5 rebounds, had 15 points per game, and he wasn't even getting the most shots. I really liked what he did, and that was on 55% shooting. 52% shooting. And with Dante Allen, so I saw him last year in EYBL at Dallas. Got to see him again this year. Got to see him in person with his club high school team. With EYBL and Cam Boozer and playing with the Knight Riders 16, pretty much the same team outside of a couple of these guys that were on this. Last year, he was just that perfect third option. This year, he was a third and sometimes fourth option, and he still looked incredible. He's a true combo guard. He can play, he can be an off-ball guard, can catch and drive really well, finish and drive with both hands, play make with both hands. And then when I saw him in high school with Riviera Prep, he went out and just was a floor general, one of the best floor generals in the tournament. And at City of Palms, which is the event I went to, that is a group tournament where they have probably half, if not more, of the overall, regardless of class, top 50 players in the country. And Dante Allen looked like he belonged. He was one of the best players. They played in a different bracket than the likes of Montfort, Lutheran High, the top talent teams. They're just a different class, right? The Montfort, Prolific Prep, all those, just different range. but he still looked incredible against equal competition. Now he's going to Montfort next year. Really excited to see him do the exact same thing, scaling up. So I think just going over this, so that was Knight Riders won the 17s, Bradley Beal Elite won the 16s, Team Why Not won the 15s, and that's Russell Westbrook team. Going to go over the Bradley Beal team coming up here in just a second and who stood out, why I like them and everything. But first, let me tell you about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance: superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit. Only available to U.S. customers. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and you have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming and drama. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, second segment here. Let's talk about Bradley Beal Elite, who won over CP3's 16 teams in the finals. I really like Bradley Beal Elite team. So for background, I went in the first session I went to was Memphis EYBL. And one of my favorite things about going to session one, because I went to session 2 or 3 last year when it was in Dallas, things had already happened. Like you already have built up the reputations and the rankings have changed. Session 1 is where everything changes. The first post high school season, massive tournaments, right? So you get to see all these guys in one place. And it's really cool because you could just basically, there's, I think, 8 or 10 courts on one side. And then the same thing for the other, and the other side has 15s. In Memphis, it was the 16s and 17s were on one side, 15s on the other. So it was pretty much sit down, choose wherever you want to be, and you'll get an NBA caliber prospect down the road. And that's what I got in this game. So I went to Brad Beal Elite versus PG Elite, the 16s, and I was so impressed. I saw JJ Andrews, also Deshaun Andrews, goes by both. But I saw JJ, and I thought he was playing outstanding defense, had a killer motor, turned defense into offense, was able to finish plays really well. And now he didn't create a ton, but he still made so many winning plays that I feel like it scales up as he just develops. Get him a good trainer who can help him as on-ball reps. I think he's in good hands. He's somebody I really like. He's a top 25 recruit on the wings that can truly guard 1 through 3 and just make life miserable for offensive players. And then there's also Mika Murnin, who he's a Finnish player, was at Sunrise Christian this year, 6'10", give or take an inch, probably closer to 6'11". And he can hit jumpers over defenders. He can pull up really quick. He was bringing the ball up occasionally. He's not like a point forward or anything, but the size plus shooting creation ability is outstanding. He's another guy who, when you look at 16-year-olds, if you're older than 18 at this point, listening, you probably know at 16 years old, you were probably immature. A lot of these kids are too. So they have to get over that hump. That's a divider. But with Mika, if he gets there, I think he's somebody that really could show out. He can block shots. He can stretch the floor and create his own shot. I think there's a lot of talent there. Those are the two guys on Bradley Beal Elite that I'm a big fan of. In this game, they did really well. JJ Andrews had 17 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. That was on 7 of 9 shooting. Mika went 8 of 11 for 21 points, 2 blocks, 1 steal, and 3 rebounds. So there's a lot of talent, honestly, in that 2026 class. That's the 16, so every year it obviously scales down, like I said. There's a ton of talent there, though. There's some other guys that I saw throughout the tournament. Jerry Easter is somebody who I think on team final had a good run and really grew his game. He has a tight handle, gets downhill and draws fouls. I think that kind of stuff when you're 16 years old, that translates up. If he can be more of a point guard, that's really good. He has one of the best offhands I've seen. So if he can get to the rim with both hands at a very high level, what's there not to like? So I'm big on him. I think he's somebody really interesting. A few other names, just while we have some time here, the 2026 class. I talked about a lot of these guys because they're the ones. And actually, sorry, that Jerry Easter's in the 17s, but he is still somebody in this tournament that did well in Peach Jam. But a lot of these guys in the 2025 and a few from 26, you heard me talk about if you listen daily, the FIBA U17s that I talked about in there, thought some of these guys were really interesting. The class as a whole was just super intriguing. Just some other guys I really like. Jordan Smith, and these are guys on the Nike circuit at least. I'm just going to stick to what's happened over the last week. Jordan Smith on Team Takeover is really good. That's a DC-based one, and I'm just a huge fan of his game. I've seen him at USA, high school, and now EYBL, and there's so much to like. He plays such strong defense. You can't take him out of a play. Incredible defensive instincts. I think he's got the best defensive instincts of any guard in high school. That's why he's the top 10 recruit, and that offense just keeps coming around. So much to like with him. It's also DK Spear, Dakari Spear. His sister goes to Tennessee and plays there. He's one of the smartest players, too. He's on Drive Nation, so if you're in Dallas, catch him at the Colony. I saw him last year, and I was really impressed. He protects the rim for his team. He plays the 1 through 5 on defense, and he plays like 1 and 2 on offense. Just such a smart player. When you're talking about a textbook, intelligent, positionless player, you've got DK Spear. I really like his game. Needs to get the jump shot a little bit better, and I wish he was a few inches taller, and I'd be a bigger fan, but I think he should be somebody that teams should already have their eyes on for when he's ready, that they can legally scout him in person, that he should be up there. Another one I really like from the Florida Rebels 16s, Hurley Brutus. He's 6'7", has really long arms. I'm all in on his game, where I think he's a modern wing. I think he's a little bit older for his class, but he has all the modern wing traits, plays really hard defense, just does a bunch of different things that I think every team needs. I really like his game. I think he's really intriguing. Why not have him be like, I just feel like he's somebody who he's overlooked for being that wing on radars, where he doesn't necessarily he doesn't have a standout one individual trait, but he does so many different things right that I think he's worth putting on there. Another 16s guy, if you subscribe to my Substack, MavsDraft.substack.com, I wrote about Dylan Mingo. He plays for PSA Cardinals 16. He's a 6'5", very long guard, has a lot of tools to work with, true point guard. His brother is on the 17s team, Caden Mingo. They play together at Lutheran High. Just really high feel for the game. Great live dribble passer. The shot needs work, so that's fine, but I think the defense will get there. I think the guard skills will get there. To me, that's somebody at 6'5" that you invested in the NBA and hope that jump shot really comes around. So I'm a big fan of his game. Let's talk about some of the 2025 players. I'm going to do a quick top 5 as I'm preparing my board to eventually be publicly released. Maybe a little bit deeper than 5, but at least the top 5 on the top, the top 5 of 2025. That's going to be a tongue twister for the rest of the year. But first, let me tell you about FanDuel. I love sports and I love them so much. I don't want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games. The sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, last segment here. Again, I'm Richard Stayman. You know me better as Mavs Draft. Let's talk about my top 5 players. Again, that is the biggest tongue twister, so forgive me if I'm going over myself here. So just some names that I want to throw out that just missed the cut that I really like. Nolan Traore, Trey Johnson, Boogie Fland, Ian McNeely, Jaleel Bethea. That's probably the rest. That's probably 6 through 10. So I guess they really didn't miss the cut. They got shout outs here. I really like each of their game. Trey Johnson, I have a little bit concerned about him getting to the rim fully, but he's not a true point guard, and I think that's something where he took over those skills this year, and I think he can get there. Nolan Traore, I just don't know how good he is defensively, and I have that big question mark on him. And I think he, though, has the easiest chance to jump into this top 5. Like, he's probably the next one out. Boogie Fland, I'm a huge fan of his game. I saw him at City of Palms for a good period of time be the best player on the floor against Montfort, which had a court including Cooper Flagg and Liam McNeely and other guys as well. And then Liam McNeely is also on this. I think he has the most translatable wing role, high IQ 3-and-D with some handle, like some ability to attack a closeout. I think at his size, he's going to be really good. And then Jaleel Bethea, he's a proven shooter, but there's just some jump shot stuff. And I'm like, well, this translates. So that's my reservations with them. So let's do the top 5. Cooper Flagg, I think, is number 1. You look at somebody who truly is a 1 through 5 on defense. That is Cooper Flagg. And on top of that, he's very athletic. He's like Jonathan Isaac on defense is probably the best comp I can give him. He plays very within himself on offense. I think he can actually play make and shoot off the dribble and potentially shoot. Like, I think that is growing, but it's not quite there yet. But the fact that it is close enough to be in that argument, is in that discussion, I think says a lot for why he's the number 1 player. Just does so much. He uses his size and athleticism well on both ends. He's probably the most versatile defender you'll see in a very long time. That's not 7 foot plus. Pretty much as his jump shot grows, his upside will grow. That's how I would put it. Number 2 is Ace Bailey. I think he's the best contender for Cooper Flagg's number 1 spot. I went back and forth for a while on who was number 1. And then I watched Cooper Flagg just dominate the USA Select practices and the scrimmages. And I think that made it clear what Cooper's done is real, and it's going to continue being more and more real. With Ace Bailey, if you put a wing in let's just say you're playing 2K, right? Is the best way to put it. If you put him in a lab, right? If you put a wing in the lab and said, we want him to be the perfect size, let him be off ball and on ball, play defense, and he can create his own shot. You just found Ace Bailey. That is what he is. He is somebody he's a 2-way, 3-level scorer. He has off-ball ability. He can come off of screens. He has great size at 6'9", plays really good defense, has superstar mold to me because of his off-ball and on-ball ability on both ends of the floor. He can hit shots over double teams really easily on the catch. He can hit like advanced turnaround jumpers like Kevin Durant does. Michael Porter. I think Michael Porter is a really good comp for him, but honestly a better defender than Porter has turned out to be. With Bailey, I think there's a few drawbacks. He needs to add a ton of strength. The body needs development, but that's a pretty easy fix. And really, all of his fixes are easy. He plays at McEachern, or he played at McEachern, and that team wasn't full of talent. If you can name me another top prospect that played for them this year, I think J.D. Palm was supposed to play, and he's pretty good. And he's a year younger, but he had some kidney issues, unfortunately. So obviously hope he heals up, but he didn't have his best teammate for a lot of the year. And when that happens and you're in high school and you're playing very high end talent, you're asked to take bad shots because you're so good that the coaches trust you to actually do it. That says more volume. That speaks more volumes to me than saying like, oh, he's taking terrible shots. Like the ones I saw were within the flow of the offense. I never saw him hold the ball for 10 seconds, call off his teammates, waving him off. None of that. I never saw that. I think he's somebody that the shot selection gets so overblown. It's so fixable with talent around him. That doesn't bother me. And he's going to be playing with Dylan Harper, who's my number 3 player on my board. And at Rutgers, I just feel like that's someone who, look, he's a 2-way combo guard, has 3-level scoring ability. He's a smooth creator. He's a play finisher. He can do just about everything on the offensive end. I think he's just a solid piece. I don't think he's a number 1 by any means, but I think he is somebody that could easily make you happy with the top 5 pick. You don't want to have him be your franchise cornerstone, but you want him as your second option, right? Like he could be the best Robin in the league one day. I don't think he could ever be the best Batman or a top Batman, but I do think he could be that Robin kind of thing. So I like him. And then the 4th player, we're going 2 schools here for the top 4. I've got Kaman Malawak. He's going to be at Duke, excuse me. He's one of the best athletes in the draft at 7'2", I think. His feel for the game's a bit rough, but his flashes they just show his high ceiling, right? His shots has a ways to go, but I think he's shown enough where you can say, hey, there is stuff here. He puts a lid on the rim. I think he can be a true rim protector. He's 7'2", and he can stretch the floor and protect the rim. Give me the upside of letting him fill in everything necessary until then. The feel for the game is the one where I think he has to show big flashes of that at Duke. It's okay if he isn't perfect and makes bad mistakes occasionally. You just want to see that in small volume. And if he does that, I think he's got himself a top 5 pick at 7'2", being able to stretch the floor and protect the rim. The last one, VJ Edgecombe. I have him at number 5. The best comp I've ever heard for him was pretty much Vince Carter with shorter arms. And Vince Carter had a 20-year career. I think he's the only player to play in 4 decades, I think. He technically played in the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and then he played in 2020. So, yeah, that's not going to say he's going to be that durable and that, have that long of that longevity. But you look at Vince Carter's career, and you're happy with the top 5 pick. It's even in a very good class. His burst is crazy. The athleticism's there. The 2 biggest things I would say for him that really need to improve are actually really just one. It's jump shot. I would say the jump shot's the big one. He's not going to be a point guard, but the size limits him. That's probably the other big flaw for him. He's 6'4", doesn't have crazy long arms. It's pretty short arms. And that may hurt him in terms of versatility. I think the size is the only thing that can hold him back because the feel for the game is incredible. One of the things I wrote down when I watched him at City of Palms, again, this talent at that tournament was crazy because 4 of the top 5 players in my top 5 were at that tournament. And really taking it even one step further, 7 of the top 10, the only ones that weren't were Kaman Malawak, Nolan Traore, and Jaleel Bethea. They were the only 3 not at City of Palms. So 70% of my top 10 was at that tournament, to put in perspective from earlier how much talent was pooled into that tournament. With Edgecombe, one of the notes I had on there was he leads his teammates and he makes them better. It's very clear they look to him and that he's also very well coached. Like the way he plays defense, the way he orchestrates the offense without being a point guard. When he has the ball in his hands, he's telling guys, hey, you need to be here without giving the play away. He's very, very cerebral. The only things that I could see hurting him, and as he's had a really good Olympic qualifiers for the Bahamas, the only thing I could see hurting him are the size and if the jump shot doesn't come along quick enough. That is it. And I think eventually the jump shot will get there because someone like that with all those intangibles on the court, usually they have the intangibles off the court too to get the necessary means to get over their skill hump. So the size is really it. The size isn't the biggest limiter as it used to be. And I think because of that, I think VJ Edgecombe's the top 5 prospect. So that's my top 5. I got Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, Kaman Malawak, and then VJ Edgecombe, who's going to Baylor. So two people from Rutgers, 2 people from Duke, and 1 from Baylor. We'll be back with more. We're going to tackle more of the Summer League, look ahead into 2025 as well, do some redrafts. We got a lot of fun stuff for you for the rest of the month. Really appreciate you making Locked On NBA Big Board your first listen, and see you next time.